Hello and welcome to an application review this time. I'm going to be taking a look at a program called pixelmator. Um, this is a Mac app. It's available on the App Store for about $15, £10 or so. It is a really good alternative for somebody that needs maybe some of Photoshop's features, but maybe GIMP doesn't run on your system, or maybe GIMP's just a bit unintuitive to use. I'm running this in trial mode right now, but I shall be buying this software at some point over the next couple of months or so, because it's so low cost and it's a good kind of alternative to Photoshop if you don't need some things like Liquify and CMYK support. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to open up an image. And I'm just going to go straight off my desktop into my camera's images file. I'm going to find one I like. Okay, let's open up this image of a tree. Okay, so it opens up. We have some nice full screen editing support, which I really like. We can, with Alt and scroll, we get a nice 3D style zooming. It's not so smooth. It's not as smooth as Photoshop zoom, say, but it works. We have a layers palette here, very similar to something like GIMP or Photoshop. We've got our shape tools. We have. I'm very sorry, that was my phone going off. I think I have a text message. I apologize about that. Okay, so apart from this, that's made me lose my place a little bit, but I'm gonna just push on through here. Okay, so we have this really nice brush palette that allows us to create custom brushes, and we can have brushes from images that have alphas attached to them. We have a nice kind of selection of. I just select that and go into our pen tool there. We've got like a leaf brush there, all kind of cool shapes and things. And if I just bring the diameter up here, we can see that the alpha actually overlays, so we can see kind of what's happening with the brush, and that's useful. That's useful. That's a feature quite similar to what you would find in good high-end image editor like Photoshop. We of course have things like the clone stamp tool. So if I wanted to go in and, for instance, say we didn't like having this line here on this road, we could zoom into it, go over to our clone stamp, alt click to define a source, and just go ahead and paint over it. and just clean that up. Again, the scroll to zoom is kind of slow. I would like it quicker. This editor does seem to lag up on larger images, which isn't so good, but it's livable with. Another really crucial feature we have is we do have a pen tool here to go ahead and add Bezier shapes, which is a really useful feature. I like it. I'm not going to go into that so much because people who work with Bezier curves will know what they are and what they're for. And it is a tutorial that I will be making either in pixelmator or GIMP on a later video of how to go in and properly get good Bezier curves. It works the same in either, but it's just a really good function. We have, of course, a polygon lasso, which is really good for selection of certain things. And anybody that's ever done any major work in Photoshop will know the old manual selection where you go ahead and go and click in like this to make a selection. This feature works really, really well. Then we have, if I just go up to my window, my view, and whereas in Photoshop and GIMP, things are called filters, in Pixelmator they're called effects, but it's similar kind of effect stack, and what you do is you just drag them onto your images like this, and then it gives you a let me just cancel that just to zoom back out so we get to the whole image, so it's a little bit more intuitive to work with. So if I just go ahead and drag on something like this kind of effect, it works. But if I wanted to do something a little bit more normal, like for instance a recolor effect, this works. Not necessarily as precise as GIMP or Photoshop would be, but it's quicker, especially than GIMP. GIMP can be very, in terms of the UI, it can be quite slow. We do have a good color adjustment dialog here as well, where we can do things like set an exposure, we could colorize our image, different levels of tinting and things, so that's nice. That's nice. I mean, it's there, it works, it's nice. We have, importantly, a dodge and a burn tool, which are really, really important when you're working on facial work. And what they do is they just, if I zoom in again here a little bit, what they do is basically, if you're working with dodge, I think I am in dodge now, yes. it's just going to go ahead and it's just going to lighten up the area a little bit. And then when you burn an image, it's just going to go ahead, just make it a little bit darker. Not darker so as it would make any form of contrast issues, which means you can kind of, if you kind of want to make that area a little bit less exposed and a different area a little bit more exposed, you can do that. We have a healing tool, which will go ahead and heal blemishes on textures and things. So I can go ahead and try and just get rid of some of these yellow things if I don't maybe want so many there. It's not, that kind of tool's never the best. Even in things like Photoshop, you tend to get quite an algorithmic result on the image. I don't like them per se, but it's good. You've got all the other good things like paint bucket, gradients, pencils, and more. Another thing that we can do is we can go ahead and duplicate layers. There's built-in masking. So if we just wanted to say add a mask, double click in, and if I do something like colorize this layer, and I make this layer yellow, and then I have some masking here. So if I click to go into the mask and go into our brush tool, and start, okay, that's way too big. But if I just go ahead and bring this right in and go to a more straight brush and turn my color, where are my color settings? Up here. So if I turn my color to a black and start painting with this, it's done something kind of a little bit odd there. So I'm just going to go back into brushes. I'm just going to create a new brush just so we get a nice straight brush, and we can go ahead and mask in. So we've got our original layer down there and our new layer, and what I'm doing is I'm just going ahead and masking out. Wait, yes, I'm just going ahead and masking out the original layer. If we zoom out a little bit, this is kind of a fun effect you can do in any editor. But you can go ahead and add masks and things like that to create nice effects on your artwork. It's just kind of, yeah, it's fun. We can see down here we get through to the kind of true color, and you can kind of do some really good effects like that with pixelmator. Of course, we do have blend modes as well, and opacity on the layers, and all of that is good stuff. We can, yeah, make things like clipping masks and stuff too, which is useful. Really useful. And overall, I would say that because we have, you know, all the things that you would need in an image editor, like guides are a really good one if you're doing any web work. They allow you to grid up quite effectively. So I could say I could go ahead and like add guides around this tree. to get things like proportion and stuff. And that's another useful feature that works really intuitively with pixelmator. I mean, there isn't much in pixelmator that you couldn't do with GIMP or Photoshop. In fact, there's probably a lot of things that you could do with GIMP or Photoshop that you couldn't do with pixelmator, but pixelmator is quite cost effective and it's really quite an intuitive little editor, and I'd say it's a good addition to your catalog of stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye.